Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Every Arkansan podcast. I'm Drew Davis, and this week we've got the entire Dream Center leadership team talking about why they're chasing their God-given dreams and why they love working with children. All right, guys, thank you guys for being here. You guys represent the Dream Center and Dream Center kids. We've got Marius. Marius, where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
Germany.
Yes, sir.
Eric leads Mobile. Where are you from?
North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Otherwise known as?
Dogtown, baby.
All right. Kendall?
I grew up in the Heber Springs area, but I live in Little Rock.
Live in Little Rock. Claim it as home now.
Yep.
And Miss Ellie?
Born and raised in Little Rock.
Woo! So, tell me a little bit why you guys are here. You guys work with kids every day, day in, day out. So what is it, Eric, about kids that you just dreamed about as a child? I'm going to work with kids my whole life.
Well, I was very privileged growing up. I had great parents who just loved me, and it's a true blessing for sure. And so I just want to give back to these kids. A lot of these kids don't know who Jesus is. And that's what we want to do ultimately, is we want them to know Jesus and see the love of Jesus in everything that I do and my team does, as I bring people out with me every once in a while.
And Ellie, this isn't your first go around with after school and kids programs.
Nope.
So you started years ago. How in the world did that kind of come about?
Well, it was kind of a slow process. In college, I started working with kids at a community center in Fayetteville. I went to school at the U of A. And so I taught a cooking class there. So that was kind of like my first start in doing something in this kind of realm. So then after that, I worked at Urban Promise here in North Little Rock. And that was a great experience and learned a lot. And then over time, I ended up here at the Dream Center.
We're glad to have you. Kendall, you took a little bit different route. You were counseling.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that path.
Well, I actually took a detour while I was counseling. So when I was 18, I knew that I wanted to work in inner city ministry with kids. But when I went to college, I took a counseling track, and I ended up working for 3 years in counseling. And as I stayed in that field, I realized coping skills and communication skills and all these great things to practice can only go so far. Until I talked to a couple of my clients who just needed to know the hope of Jesus. And I ethically couldn't tell them about it, being in just like the school system and working for a private service. And so I decided I wanted to tell kids about Jesus, and I wanted to go back to the dream that God originally gave me. So I started looking around and found the Dream Center, and now I'm here.
So Eric, you do the oddball thing around here.
Yep.
You don't have a building. You're out in the rain, the sleet, and the snow, and a little bit of heat in the summer. So tell us a little bit about DC Mobile.
DC Mobile is different. So we get to get on a truck, a big box truck. It's big red with kids dancing on the side. So, it just looks like an attraction for kids, basically. We pull up into the community where these kids are, and we drop a stage. We put out speakers and start blasting music. And once that music starts, kids come flooding out of their doors, running towards us. And then we get to do an entire kids program right there in the community. And we get to sing and dance and do our four most important things of God loves me, I have sinned, Jesus died for me, and lastly, I need to decide to live for God. And so we get to do all four of them, and that's like our staple thing. If there's anything we want them to take with them for the rest of their life, it's those four things, because they all build on each other. We also teach them Bible lessons and how they live it out and how they decide to live for God, but ultimately we want them to know that God loves them no matter what. And so we get to go into the community, serve them a meal, rain or shine. We're always going to be there because we want to be consistent no matter what. And then we get to just love them and show them the love of Jesus.
Ellie, you're at our newest physical facility here in North Little Rock, and you kind of got to pioneer a little bit of that. So talk a little bit about what this kind of neighborhood is to you and what the program looks like over here.
So yeah, it was interesting when I first started here, the program, because kind of the model that the Dream Center with the kids has is that we start feeding in a community and sharing the love of Christ, and then over time kind of like create more structure with the program. So when I started here at North Little Rock, it definitely had a structure to it, but we didn't have a full summer program yet, and the kids after school program, we were kind of in the beginning stages of like starting to help the kids with their homework as well, and having like they had a Bible lesson before and everything like that, but just kind of having the kids here for longer, and that being more structured. So I definitely was just kind of like thrown in there, and it was kind of sink or swim. So I learned a lot. I mean, I was given a lot of guidance, but sometimes you just kind of have to go for it and, learn as you go. So that was kind of that kind of experience, which I love, because I love like thinking about how things can improve and get better. And so every day it was a new learning experience, just trying to figure out how to best communicate with the kids and help them with the things they were going through, and create an atmosphere of peace and of love. We actually, one day after kind of a difficult day, I was like, we need a sign over the door that says, "The peace of the Lord be in this place." So I laminated and put it outside over the door, because sometimes, you just need God to move, because there are great days and relatively calm days, and then there are crazy days where it seems like nothing is going the way you had planned. So anyway, but I love it, and the kids are so sweet, and I definitely have a heart for them. So.
And Kendall, you kind of get to lead our oldest program, which has got way more structure. It's got multiple generations now of families that are a part of it, and the kids understand the expectations. So just talk a little bit about how your program, it's not necessarily different, but how that proximity over time has kind of created what you've got.
Yeah, so I had it easy in comparison to Ellie, because just Marius and Miss Sheila and so many others before me really set our kids up for success, and teaching them just how a schedule and a routine is, and you have expectations for your behavior, like what's a good choice, what's a bad choice, and what are the consequences of that, but then again, we also have new kids come in every year, and so we have to start from square one with them. And so it's just interesting just kind of to see like how our kids have grown, and that's really like the most rewarding part of it, because 3 years ago when I started, I had some younger kids who were just now learning what are the expectations, what are the good choices and bad choices and consequences, and now I get to see them in our middle school program. They're very independent in their thinking. They want to succeed in school, they want to be good friends and be around good influences, and whereas our middle school classes were smaller when I started, now they're just as big as any of our other classes. And so it's just been kind of cool to see them grow and to really take hold of what we want for them, like what our heart is for them, what our dreams are for them, and teaching them to take hold of their own dreams and look to God for their own dreams. And so it's just been really, that's the best part of it really to me, is just being able to watch the kids grow. And when you set up a structure, a loving environment, a peaceful environment for them, they grow like nobody's business. Like they just continue to get better and better and better. And they're just amazing. It's just, they're little people. They're just like us, and we all start somewhere, and they're starting now. So.
And it's so fun to me because Marius came on as the boys coach.
That's right, yeah.
And then oversaw Little Rock. Now you oversee the whole program and the whole team. So what is it about kids that really made you just keep dreaming?
Yeah, for me, it all started when I was in New York for just an internship, and I realized that the kids I was working with, they didn't have a choice to leave or to stay where they are. I got to go back home to where I was from. The kids had to stay where they were. And that just drives me every day to understand that I can, if I show up, I can maybe help somebody further along their life. If I can just keep showing up, I might be able to change one of these kids' life by pointing them to Jesus. And what I love about all of our programs now is that it doesn't matter where that kid is or where they move to. If they can, you used to go to Ellie's program, now they live at the mobile side, they get the same love there, they get the same consistency there. And it's just cool to see that over the years, God has entrusted us with more reach to more people to connect them to Jesus. And it's just been a blessing to see these guys take ownership over their locations and make it their own, but also wherever you go, to any Dream Center kids facility, you have the same love, you have the same way we talk to our kids, and you have the same fun time, but you also learn the same lessons. So it's amazing to see if we are consistent with what we're doing, our little things, the great change that we can see in kids and communities, and in Little Rock, whole families and future families are changed forever because of our little consistency. And it's just been a blessing to get to be part of that, and just kind of getting to see now. When I first started, my third graders are now going to high school, and just kind of seeing where they're ending up. And it's just been a blessing to be kind of be part of that, but seeing them change in the future as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the other cool things is we don't believe that we do this alone. It's in partnership. So one of y'all want to share kind of what you do with the school system?
We've been able to just partner with some really great schools, MLK, or King Elementary is what they really call it, over on Martin Luther King Boulevard. They partner with us, and we get to just talk to them on a weekly basis on where our kids are at academically. Is there anything we could be working on during homework time? If they don't have homework, with our younger ones, can we be working on their handwriting, their reading skills? Do we need to partner them with one of our volunteers who is all about reading and wants to help them learn the building blocks of reading? And then we can also talk to them about, is anyone having behavior issues? Like, are they getting along well with friends? Are they having any issues with authority? And we want to come alongside the schools and the parents. And, I had a mom call me the other day, and she was like, hey, so-and-so got in trouble at school. Can you make sure that she sits out of a privileged time, like a playtime or something, so that, we're all on the same team. And so that way it's like, okay, mom's not having to do this alone, the school's not having to do this alone, like, we're here to support them as well. And so it's just really cool to have that open communication between 3 different parties to make sure, like, the kid is benefiting.
Yeah, in North Little Rock, it's been cool, again, as we kind of, are able to form these relationships. It's like I've been able to see the before and the after of, before we were involved in the school and then after we were involved in the school. And it is just amazing to see when the kids know that someone is checking in. Like, now they know at the Dream Center, we're checking in and we're,
You can't get away with not doing your homework anymore, which is what they try to do.
Making sure it's at work.
That's one of the things that I love, because when we started, it was like, oh, we're going to do homework, and then we couldn't get any kids to do homework. And then as we kind of progressed over the years, now it's one of those situations where a new kid comes in, and they're like, Miss Kendall, I don't have homework. And the kid next to him says, hey, she's going to know. She's going to know in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do your homework.
Save yourself time.
Yeah. Or the famous when there are 4 kids in one class and one of them doesn't bring their homework and it's like, let me go make a copy of that, and you just run to the copier, make it for them, and it's like, you got your homework now.
So even with mobile, we're not helping them with homework, but we're in their schools with them.
Yeah, so with mobile, we go and we are like the recess aides with the day every Thursday, and it feels to us like it's not much. But every time we show up, the front office is always telling us, this is the day they look forward to on recess, because the least amount of kids get sent to the office. So there's no fights, there's no screaming, crying. They're just so happy that we're there, and we feel like it's something so little, but we're giving back so much, and I don't think we realize that at times. But being at recess can be chaotic sometimes, and we're there to help them out.
So tell me a little bit, Marius, you were talking about some of your kids are in high school now.
Yeah.
What's one of those stories of those kids that, man, I remember this kid in 3rd grade, and now they're up here, and that process?
That's a great question, Drew. For me, what's amazing to me is to see these back then young kids now becoming young adults that are chasing after their God-given dream. They're still at the Dream Center. They still want to be around. They still want to learn. They're listening to the lessons that we were teaching, and they're trying to apply those to their lives. And that's what it's all about for us. We want to see these kids not just come and hang out and play basketball. We want to see them become young men and women that are having a heart after God and chasing after what God's given them. And one of the things we always do is our spring break trip, which is just an amazing time for us, because we get to expose our kids, our 4th and 5th graders, to the big world that's out there, and want to encourage them, go after what God put in your heart, go chase your God-given dream, and we want to become the cheerleaders around them. So every time now I get to see the middle schoolers for 5 or 10 minutes, I try to hang out with them real quick, encourage them, cheer them on, and just make sure that they know that we're proud of them and keep them in the good fight.
So Kendall, you've been around for a minute too. So tell me a little bit what it's like getting to know these young women on just such a deep scale over so many years.
Yeah, so it's been really an honor to get to know them. They have invited me to be a part of like their cheerleading that they do. I get invites to go watch them cheer on the boys team. Or, they always want to like come over and stay the night, which we don't do, but we do get to like take them on some outings and just kind of like get with them where it's more like a few girls and one of us, more like a mentorship type thing. And we can, ask them in detail, like, how is your family? How's school going? Or, what are if they're struggling because they tell us like, oh, school's not going so good, they can tell us, what they're struggling with, and we can encourage them. But like one of our students that stands out to me, she has different like homes. She stays with an aunt sometimes, she stays with a mom sometimes she visits her dad. And when I first met her, she was younger and she was very angry a lot of the time. If somebody did something to her, she was going to do it back, or it was always an argument, or it was always ready to fight. And so just over like getting to know her the first few months in the first year, I was able to talk with her about why is it important to communicate in a better way. Like, there's so much more out there for you than just getting into fights and arguments and, worrying about the little things that people might look at you wrong or say something wrong to you. And it's more of like, you believe in what God says about you. Don't believe what other people are going to say about you, or people are going to try to tear you down. Like, do you know how awesome you are? Do you know what God is saying about you? She'd be like, yes. And she could repeat to me, like, what God thinks about her, what she thinks about herself. And I was like, that's what you need to focus on. You don't need to focus on the bad things, because you're going to hear bad things your whole life. You're going to see bad things your whole life. But you got to focus on what is good and what God has for you. And if you set your mind on those things, then you won't have to worry about anything else, because you're going after what's right. And I've just gotten to watch her. She's in middle school now, and so I've gotten to watch her really like just become that young woman who believes in what God has for her. Her dream is to become a nurse. And so she has raised the bar in her academics. Like, she makes all A's or B's or all A's sometimes. And so she's like really values her education now, because she knows it's going to take that in order to become a nurse and to help people, which is what she dreams of doing. And she doesn't fight anymore. Like, if people are being argumentative or petty or, trying to start drama, she's out of it. She's like, I don't have time for that. And it's just really cool to watch her grow into that. And, when you spend enough time with someone, you can influence them into a better way, or influence them in a positive way, which is why we do what we do. We spend time with our kids so that we can influence them on a better path.
And Ellie, you're kind of the newbie, so to speak, in the classroom type setting over here. I think a lot of people get nervous about new relationships. Mm-hmm. And how in the world do you kind of break the ice to get in with a family? So talk about what that's kind of been like for you.
Well, initially I was kind of concerned about their reception and everything. Like, well, actually, when I started Urban Promise, I was really worried about that, of just like just not knowing what those relationships would be like. But over time, I've realized, like, once these parents realize that you are fighting for their kids, like, for what's best for their kids, then they, for the most part, are like very open and like grateful that they have someone to help them, because a lot of times the parents are working multiple jobs, or they're working at night, or they just have a lot going on, and so they just need someone to like come alongside them to help support them, because they want what's best for their kids. And so when we're able to help them help their kids, like they are so grateful. So and also through City Serve, that has been a huge relational changing aspect of things too, because we're able to provide our family with food boxes. And I've had several moms and grandmas tell me just how grateful they are that we're able to send home snacks, or we're able to fill a box with some like dinner items and food. And so that's a huge, when you're able to help meet someone's need, then the relationship happens naturally. And so here at the Dream Center, that's what we believe. We believe in relationships. And so we're helping to meet their needs. We're helping support their kids. And so then over time, it does take time, because sometimes like at the beginning there is resistance where they're like, why are you doing this? Or, if they've had people in their lives that they haven't been able to trust, they can be like, why are you helping me? And why, but over time they realize, oh, they just genuinely care. And then they're more receptive to that. So it's been really cool.
And I think that's important. On the flip side, we like to partner with the school so we can support the kids on that, but you mentioned parents. So, Marius, we partner with parents as well. Yes. So describe that and how that looks and what we do.
That's our main goal. We want to help the kids, but ultimately we want to see the whole family be healed and restored to chase their God-given dream, because these mamas have dreams too. They need help too. So we try our best to not just help the kids, but reach out to the parents. How can we help you guys? How can we be a better support to you? Because we don't want to just come in and take over. We want to see the teachers and the parents work together to see these kids become something great down the road. And we've learned that over time we need to create events to have parents come join us. And we have some family nights where we invite everybody to come, their grandmas, grandpas, uncles, whoever is involved in the family, because we don't want to just know the kids, we want to know the whole family so we can help the whole family and not just the kids.
And so, Eric, that looks different for you.
Yeah.
Out on the sidewalk, right in a neighborhood, and it's so fun to walk up on your truck when you see the kid dancing and you see the parent standing right in the back dancing just as well. So talk a little bit about the interaction out in the community with the whole family.
Yeah, so our program is basically kid-based, but we love when the parent or the older brother or older sister comes and just stands in the background. Because our 4 most important things dance is so catchy, everyone kind of just jumps in and starts doing it. And so it's super awesome. And sometimes you'll see a dad come sit with his boy or girl, or a mom come sit with their son or daughter on the blue tarp, and they'll get just as into the dances and the games as the kid does. And sometimes we have to remind the parents, remember, you can't win the toy, your kid can win the toy. And so it's super cool though to see some of the parents just investing in their child. There's a mom and a daughter in Jacksonville that have really, they moved here 2 years ago when we first started doing mobile, and she says that her daughter has just blossomed because of what we do of teaching Jesus to them. They had never been to church or anything, and we showed up in the community and just teach them short, sweet Bible lessons, the stories that everyone knows of Goliath and Daniel and David and all the mainstay names of the Bible, but they've never heard any of them. And we're always pointing back to, but Jesus loves you, God loves you, I have sinned, you've made mistakes. And the parent being able to be there with them and walk alongside them and be the main discipler, because we can only do so much, especially with mobile, because we're only there once a week. So we're trying to encourage the parent, don't just leave here and make this a once a week thing. Find a local church, find a way that you can invest in your child outside of here as well.
And I love how we've been able to tie the parents back to the school. Yeah. So, do one of you two want to kind of talk about Christmas?
Yeah.
So when we first started going into the schools, they would have volunteer opportunities for parents to come in and help out at the schools. And it was hard to get parents involved sometimes because of busy schedules and everything. But then a year into going into the schools, we noticed a lot, the teachers get to have a Christmas party. And they arranged it to where parents could come into the school and volunteer and watch the classroom for an hour, so that they could had their Christmas party, and it was just like a really cool moment for the whole staff to get together at the school and just be rewarded for all their hard work. And so we noticed the first year it happened, like a lot of the parents who were coming in were DC Kid parents. Like we were like super proud, and we were just so excited that our parents knew like we were going to be there, we were going to be involved, and we are involved in their school on a regular basis. And they're like, I'm going to be there too, and I want to see how my kid is doing. And they come in, and you know, at first they're a little overwhelmed and like, I don't know how you guys and these teachers do it all the time with all these kids in one room. And I'm like, you know, just encourage them, like, you guys are awesome for being here and for being a part, and your kids are so excited that you're here. But yeah, it was awesome to see everyone come together.
And I think one other thing with that was so cool to see the parents realize, wow, these teachers have a lot on their plates, and it was a perspective shift for them to not always say, well, it's the teacher's fault, they don't treat my kid right, but they realize, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff going on for these teachers, and they have a hard time sometimes. And I think it was cool to kind of get to see their parents shift their mindset of maybe, you know, going to blame the teacher first, but realizing, oh wow, there's a lot of things going on, and my kid maybe not be the best kid that I thought it was. So it was cool to see their perspective change. But again, that's how it works in life. We tend to judge everybody else first, but then when we walk a mile in their life or how they see things, we tend to have a perspective change for us too. So that was awesome to see those all three communities come together, the parents, the teachers, and us.
25 kids against one, your mindset really changes pretty fast.
Yeah. And then I love also, I mean, how there's always a backstory. So it's not just always clear cut. And I think of, we've got 3 little babies that Grandma has them. And I guess 2 Christmases back, it was one of those things where there was a need. Yeah. So did one of you two want to kind of share kind of what happened in that story? I
mean, in general, with the situation, we were able to, like Ellie said earlier, we were able to meet the physical need, which, you know, we rallied our staff around and got solutions coming their way to help them out in the physical, but that really deepened our further on relationship with them down the road, like Ellie said, because they knew that if I have a problem, if I am in need, I can go to the Dream Center and I can get help. If I can just call them, they'll be able to help me through a situation, and not just help them momentarily, but help them down the road to get better and to set themselves up for success down the road. So it was really neat to see our staff individually come around them and come up with, oh, I can do this and I can help them that way. Oh, I'd love to do this for them, and really take ownership in helping that family in particular out.
Well, and in their case, it was 3 young kids, all under 10, I think, when she got them at the time, and Grandma got them because Mom had some drug problems, and Grandma got them when she was living on SSI, fixed income. She had to go back to work and get a job at some little retail store to do this, but she was completely overwhelmed. And when it came to making sure those babies were fed, when it came to making sure those babies were educated and all that, we were a partner. And I mean, I get to see them once a week because they now go to our church. But it's just so interesting to me to see how in the world starting out with a kid can lead down that path.
Absolutely.
And so I just want to talk about just some of the craziness. Because we all kind of share those stories among ourselves. But I think it's also one of those things for people to realize this isn't just come in here and read to a kid. This is fun. These kids are just amazing. I've got some of these kids that I've now known for a decade or more, and it's like they're the biggest troublemakers in the world, and I love every bit of the trouble that they cause. And then there's the situations where we've lost children. We've lost parents, and we've done funerals and done things. It really emotionally pulls you in. So one of y'all just jump in and just kind of share a story that just really just makes you wake up on Monday morning and say, I can't wait to just reconnect.
Over Christmas, Mobile gets to take Christmas presents to all of our kids. So we stuff the truck with presents. I mean, it's chaotic. Everything's wrapped. It looks pretty, and it's super awesome, and the kids cannot wait for Christmas week because they know what's coming. But I showed up at one of our sites, and there was a girl that was missing, and she's always the first one there, like super excited to see us. And I was like, where in the world is she? And she never showed up for the program, and I was so confused. But at the same time, I went on with the program. We had a ton of fun, and we're giving out toys left and right. And you don't realize how excited a little kid gets about an LOL doll, but an LOL doll is like the biggest game changer in the entire world for the girls. So this little girl, she eventually shows up after all the other kids had left. We packed up the stage, and you could see she was just notably upset. And I had to ask her, I was like, what's wrong? And she just started breaking down right there. And she just needed to let it out for a second. And then she told me that she had just gotten back from a court hearing for her dad to go to jail. And I was able to look at her in the eye and say, you know what, this Christmas season is it's not about darkness, it's about light. It's about Jesus bringing that light, bringing us hope. And I was able to hand her a little LOL doll, something so small and so simple, but it meant so much to her in that time. And I was able to tell her, I'm giving this to you because I know that Jesus loves you. And I want you to feel the love of Jesus throughout the entire Christmas season. And it's things like that just make me want to wake up in the morning and go back to these kids and just go act extremely silly to these kids because they don't get to be kids sometimes. And we're able to let them be kids for an hour a week and just be silly with their friends. And sometimes it's frustrating to us because they're not listening to us. But at the same time, they know that I love them because I love Jesus, and I want them to love Jesus. So that's what makes me want to get up Monday through Friday and do this thing.
One thing that's always crazy at North Little Rock is you can walk into a facility and never know what's happening. Like, I walk in the door and there's like an astronaut person in the middle of the foyer, and it's actually one of our volunteers that comes every week dressed up as a character reading to our kids. But you can never know what you walk into. But it's always a good time at North Little Rock because the other day we had a science experiment where the whole stage was full with equipment and stuff, and it was just cool to see how, especially Ellie, is getting these people to come in what they're excited about and share that with the kids. But then I don't know if you want to elaborate on some of these experiences that they got to see, but it changes the perspective on certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something just personally I've been really passionate about is like exposing the kids just to different opportunities, because I don't know how they would be able to, I want them to be able to chase their God-given dream, but a part of that is them knowing kind of what's out there. Yeah. And so anyway, we were able to contact First Tee, and they were able to come out and teach the kids some golf lessons, which was hilarious. I was wondering, I was concerned about our windows at one point, just wondered how that was going to go, if they're going to be busted out, and they were like, oh, they won't be like the normal golf balls. So I was like, okay, I breathed a sigh of relief. But yeah, and over the summer we were able to have like dance lessons for the girls. Like, they kind of like combined like ballet and like hip hop at times, and the girls loved it. And yeah, horses. Yeah, the North Little Rock Police Department, or no, the Little Rock Police Department has.
Little Rock Police brought them to North Little Rock.
Which like is and to Little Rock, yeah. So that was awesome. The kids like loved it, and this was really sweet. But one girl, she came over to me crying because her mom had came to pick her up while the horses were there, and I just like took her hand and took her over to the police officer, and I was like, hey, she has to go home. Is it okay if she pets the horse? Because they were doing a presentation kind of talking about the horses before they were gonna let the kids pet them. She was like, yeah. So I like helped her like pet the horse's nose, and it like made her day. Like, her tears immediately stopped. She was completely fine, and then I walked over to her car, and she was totally content. So it's just amazing how you can take a moment. And when you take a moment with someone to show them they matter, like that, it can change their whole perspective on things. So,
well, it changes perspective on staff, because I know that the day that Game and Fish was coming with the snakes and the alligators and all that, Marius kept saying, hey, don't forget, I've got to be at Little Rock at 2 o'clock because
gotta see the alligator.
They're going to have an alligator there.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew, don't. And it was like 15 times during the day. I mean,
we get it, Marius. Yeah.
I was really concerned because initially she had a real snake, but she brought out like a, plastic snake, and the kids were screaming, pushing back like at the plastic snake, and they didn't know yet she had a real snake. So I was like, oh Lord, like they are going, like I don't know how. I was like, she might just have to keep it in the container. Like, I don't think they're gonna be able to handle it. But then she like built this whole case. Like, the snake was run over, and she kind of like built empathy for the snake, and so
it's all about that story.
And so then the kids were like, oh, I feel bad. She had to nurse the snake back to health. So eventually, like, they were okay, and they like actually pet the snake. But anyway, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Something that just keeps me coming back. There are a lot of things I think that keep us all coming back to work every day. So it's hard to really like settle on a specific thing, but I just really love like when I come into work and a kid runs through the door and they're like, I gotta tell you what happened at school today, or they're upset about something and they're like, they don't really want to talk to anybody about it, but if I like ask them what happened,
They want to be asked first.
Yeah, I'm like,
all right, what is wrong? Well, since you asked.
yeah, they're just like, you know, you see a sad face, you're like, what's wrong? What happened today? And they're willing to tell you because you asked them how they're doing, and so it's just like, it's worth coming back every day for them to have someone to talk to, for them to have someone to tell you like what's going on, what they're feeling, help them work through a problem. And then just, of course, like all the adorable little hugs that you get for no reason at all. You're just like, I walked into my classroom the other day and I had like Miss Danny's whole K1 class just following me in there, just one hug right after the other. And it wasn't for, like, they wouldn't say anything, they'd just like hug and then they would leave. And so it's just like little things where, you know, a kid is like, I feel safe here. I feel like I can talk to you about how I'm feeling. I feel like I can come here and have fun and be goofy, or I feel like I can come here and just give anybody in a red shirt a hug and I know it's going to be okay. Like, that's the stuff that keeps me coming back.
A few weeks ago, we had a kid that kind of lost his mind over here at North Little Rock, and Marius and I were kind of hanging out with him, and there was something he said that really impacted both of us that I'm so thankful that we're able to do. Do you want to kind of talk about that?
So as we kind of had him settle down and take a breather for a second, what we kind of ended up asking him if he was hungry at all. And he's like, yeah, actually, I'm really hungry. So we got him some snacks. But then he kept asking us for our dinner. And at the Dream Center, we actually get to serve hot meals to all of our after-school program locations and serve snacks at our mobile programs. And every day, the kids know that when they come to the Dream Center, they can walk home with a to-go plate of hot food, or even 2 or 3, however much they need. They know we'll have food for them. And with our friend that we were talking to in that situation, it really came down to that. He was hungry. He was looking for dinner every time he got up. He'd look out the window. Is dinner here? Is dinner here yet? And we would say, we got you. We're going to get you dinner. So we got him 2 or 3 plates of food. And for a lot of these guys, it's just they know that when they come to the Dream Center, not just that we're going to meet there, hang out with them, give them hugs, but they also know that they can get food and they can get warm, like fresh prepared meals every day and take them even home for their siblings or their parents.
So, guys, I just want to say thank you for being here. It's always a privilege to get to hang out with you guys and hear your stories, because I know that lives are being changed every day, and I'm so thankful that you guys are there, because I will say when I was there, the caliber wasn't quite up to where we are now. So you guys are amazing, and I'm so thankful and grateful for everything you guys do.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Every Arkansan podcast. The team here at the Dream Center has done an amazing job of loving on these kids, but they've done an even more amazing job of creating a place where you can come and chase your God-given dream.